An intriguing crossroads fight at bantamweight is close to being finalized, as multiple reports confirm the UFC is targeting a bout between seasoned veteran Rob Font and the surging, youthful phenom Raul Rosas Jr. for UFC 326 on March 7th. This matchup is a classic style and experience clash. For the 37-year-old Font, ranked number 14, this is a critical opportunity to re-enter the win column and reassert his place in the top 15 after a unanimous decision loss to David Martinez last September. That fight itself was a short-notice replacement, as Font was originally scheduled to face Rosas at Noche UFC before the younger fighter withdrew. Now, Font gets the originally intended matchup, a chance for redemption and to prove his sharp boxing and experience can halt the hype train of a much younger opponent. For the 21-year-old Raul Rosas Jr., this represents the most significant step up in competition of his burgeoning UFC career. El Niño Problema has rebounded impressively from his sole professional loss, racking up a 4-fight win streak that includes 2 finishes. A victory over a durable, ranked veteran like Font would be a massive statement, instantly propelling him into the upper tier of the 135-pound division and validating the immense potential he has shown since debuting as the youngest fighter on the UFC roster. The bout is a perfect addition to a UFC 326 card, headlined by the highly anticipated BMF title rematch between Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira. It offers a compelling narrative of the old guard versus the new wave, with Font's technical striking and poise tested against Rosas' aggressive grappling and relentless pace. Contracts are expected to be issued shortly, setting the stage for a pivotal March showdown in Las Vegas. The long-running saga of Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler appears to be inching closer than ever to a tangible reality, with the unprecedented backdrop of the UFC White House event on June 14th now serving as the central focus. Following years of delays, cancellations, and intense speculation, both fighters are now publicly aligning on the same specific goal. Chandler, in a fresh interview, has provided the most concrete update to date, stating that active conversations are being had with the UFC about finalizing the bout for the South Lawn. Chandler's assessment is notably optimistic, claiming the odds are higher than they ever have been. His confidence stems from a clear convergence of desires. Conor wants to fight me at the White House, I want to fight him at the White House. He points to McGregor's recent social media activity, which has included posting videos and highlights of Chandler as a signal of mutual intent. This public reciprocation marks a shift from the one-sided call-outs that have characterized much of the buildup. However, Chandler also acknowledges the promotion's penchant for secrecy, warning fans they might have to wait longer for an official announcement as the UFC builds its historic first card on the White House grounds. The timeline suggests both men are preparing for a full 6-month training camp aimed at a summer showdown. For McGregor, it represents a chance to return from a lengthy absence punctuated by a leg break and a recent anti-doping suspension, reclaiming the global spotlight in a setting unlike any other. For Chandler, who has waded through 2 years of on and off negotiations and suffered 2 losses after the fight fell through in 2024, it is the culmination of a frustrating pursuit and a chance to secure the most lucrative fight of his career. While the UFC has yet to make the fight official, the pieces, fighter willingness, an iconic date, and a singular venue are finally falling into place, making the long-anticipated clash feel less like a rumor and more like an inevitable headline for the most unique event in company history. The path to the undisputed UFC Lightweight Championship, which was supposed to be cleared by an interim title fight at UFC 324, is now looking increasingly murky and uncertain. While the promotion initially framed the bout between Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett as a direct ticket to a unification fight with champion Ilia Topuria, doubt is now seeping in from the very top. UFC President Dana White, who once confidently stated the interim winner would welcome Topuria back, has notably shifted his language.
"We'll see how that plays out throughout the year," White said recently, a stark contrast to previous assurances and a direct reflection of the severe, unresolved personal and legal crisis engulfing Topuria. Topuria's hiatus, prompted by his allegations of being the victim of an extortion plot involving fabricated domestic abuse claims, has evolved from a private matter into a major disruption for the 155-pound division. The situation is legally complex and emotionally charged, with no clear timeline for resolution. This ambiguity is forcing the UFC to publicly hedge its bets. The interim title, created to maintain momentum, now risks leading to a champion in limbo, an interim holder with no clear date or guarantee of facing the undisputed king. Paddy Pimblett, one of the men fighting for that interim belt, has already vocalized the growing possibility that the division may need to move on entirely. He suggested that if Topuria cannot return by mid-2026, he might have to vacate his belt, a scenario that would see the UFC 324 winner potentially upgraded to undisputed champion without a unification bout. This isn't just fighter speculation, it's a logical conclusion drawn from the precedents set in other divisions stalled by a champion's indefinite absence. The stakes for the Gaethje vs. Pimblett main event have therefore been subtly but significantly altered. The winner will still claim interim gold and a huge career milestone, but the promise attached to that gold is now conditional. They aren't just fighting for a shot at Topuria, they're fighting to become the de facto active leader of the division during a period of unprecedented uncertainty. The UFC is preparing for all outcomes, a triumphant Topuria return to a mega fight later in the year, or the difficult decision to strip a champion embroiled in personal turmoil and crown a new one outright. For now, the only certainty is that the future of the lightweight title will be decided not just in the octagon on January 24th, but in a Spanish courtroom in the private life of Ilia Topuria.
The blueprint for Sean O'Malley's comeback is being drawn not for a spectacular flash of violence, but for a sustained, grinding war of attrition. According to his head coach, Tim Welch, the plan for UFC 324 is to prepare for a 15-minute brutal war against the dangerous Song Yadong. This represents a significant tactical shift in mindset for Suga, who is known as one of the sport's premier knockout artists. Welch acknowledges Yadong's threats, comparing his speed and spring to Marlon Chito Vera, but noting he is even more dangerous. The explicit strategy, however, is not to meet fire with fire in a reckless exchange, but to systematically break Yadong down over time. Welch's prediction is notably devoid of a highlight reel finish. Instead, he envisions a dominant decision built on a multifaceted attack. We are preparing to beat his body up, to cut his face, to punch his head, potentially choke him, maybe take him down, ride him a little bit. This holistic game plan suggests O'Malley's camp is focusing on versatility and cardio, aiming to prove he can win a grueling fight against a top-tier opponent, not just a quick one. The goal is a comprehensive whooping, a performance that leaves no doubt about his elite status after a two-fight skid. The stakes of this approach are directly tied to the title picture. Welch openly admits that a dominant win could, and in their minds should, catapult O'Malley right back into a championship rematch with Petr Yan. The history is there. O'Malley's split decision win over Yan in 2022 earned him his first title shot. Now, with Yan having reclaimed the belt, the narrative for a second act is perfectly set. Welch believes the possibility of that shot will bring out the best performance in O'Malley, but he also respects the daunting challenge. Petr Yan for 5 rounds, we're going to have to be ready for that. For O'Malley then, the fight against Yadong is a dual-purpose mission. Exercise the demons of his recent losses with a punishing, smart performance, and in doing so, earn the right to complete his career's central narrative by chasing the title back from the man he first had to beat to get there. The quiet period of Dustin Poirier's retirement appears to be stirring with the possibility of a new, unexpected challenge. After hanging up his gloves following a final battle against Max Holloway, the Diamond has been firm in dismissing any notion of a return to the UFC's grueling MMA landscape.
However, the competitive fire that defined his legendary career hasn't extinguished, and it may find a new outlet in the growing world of high-profile grappling. According to a revealing statement from Hype FC CEO Arman Tsarukyan, serious conversations have taken place about Poirier stepping onto the mats for a special attraction match against Arman Tsarukyan, the very man who occupies the top contender spot in the UFC lightweight division Poirier once ruled as interim champion. This potential booking is a masterstroke of intrigue. For Tsarukyan, it's an opportunity to test his elite skills against a future Hall of Famer, adding a monumental scalp to his grappling portfolio during a frustrating stretch where the UFC has yet to grant him his promised title shot. A match with Poirier would command mainstream attention far beyond the typical grappling event, elevating Tsarukyan's profile in a way that aligns with his claim to being the division's true number one. For Poirier, it presents a compelling and unique draw. It's a competitive endeavor without the brutal weight cuts and punishing striking exchanges of an MMA fight, a chance to engage in a pure battle of technique and will against a younger, hungry lion. He's already expressed openness to a boxing match with Nate Diaz. A grappling superfight fits a similar mold of a legacy-enhancing spectacle outside the traditional UFC structure. The dynamic is made even more compelling by their shared gem, American Top Team. This isn't a feud born of trash talk or rankings bitterness. It's a potential showcase between respected peers. It transforms the narrative from a personal grudge match to a celebration of martial arts skill, where the goal is to test each other in a different arena. Tsarukyan's comments add a layer of suspense, noting that while Poirier hasn't signed, he is the primary target for February. The CEO further teased that if not Poirier, they have another major, secretive return in mind that the whole MMA community is waiting for. Whether it's Poirier or this mystery figure, Hype FC is clearly aiming for a headline-grabbing moment. For Poirier, the offer represents a tempting crossroads: remain in a peaceful retirement or answer the call for one more unique challenge, trading the roar of the UFC crowd for the focused intensity of the grappling mats and adding a fascinating final footnote to an iconic combat sports journey. The UFC's return to Mexico City on February 28th is shaping up to be a pivotal night for several fighters and divisions, anchored by a main event that carries the weight of a nation's hopes. At the top of the card, Brandon Moreno steps back into the spotlight in his home country, headlining against the relentless Asu Almabayev. For Moreno, the former flyweight champion, this isn't just another fight, it's a calculated step on the path back to the title he once held, a chance to reignite his championship trajectory in front of the fans who have followed his journey from the beginning. Almabayev, however, represents a perilous and often overlooked hurdle, a grinding, pressure-heavy stylist who would love nothing more than to derail those plans in spectacular fashion and claim the biggest win of his career by silencing the Mexican crowd. Just before that headline bout, the women's bantamweight division offers a classic crossroads clash in the co-main event. Macy Chiasson, a ranked contender, now backed firmly against the wall after 2 consecutive losses, faces a moment of truth. A third straight defeat could see her tumble from relevance in a deep division, making this a must-win performance to prove she still belongs among the elite. Her opponent, Aylan Perez, embodies the exact opposite momentum. Riding a quiet but impressive 5-fight win streak, Perez has steadily climbed the rankings. A decisive victory over an established name like Chiasson on a major card would be the statement performance she needs to loudly announce herself as a legitimate title threat and potentially skip ahead in the queue of contenders. Beyond those featured bouts, the card is rich with stories that will resonate throughout the arena. The local crowd will have a strong focal point in flyweight Edgar Chairez, who returns to action looking to deliver a performance for his countrymen. The event also serves as a platform for the next wave of talent, featuring the undefeated prospect Imanol Rodriguez in a tough matchup against Kevin Borjas, a fight that will test whether Rodriguez is ready for the next level. Further down the lineup, veterans like Christian Quiñones and Santiago Luna look to hold their ground, while Contender Series graduates Damian Pinas and Wes Schultz face off in a middleweight bout where the winner takes a meaningful step forward. With the promotion promising more fights to come, the night in Mexico City is evolving into a comprehensive showcase, a blend of high-stakes drama for established stars, critical tests for rising names, and the electric atmosphere that only a home country hero like Brandon Moreno can generate. It's a card built to deliver significance up and down the lineup, setting the stage for pivotal career turns across multiple weight classes.
The idea of a wrestling match between Jon Jones and Daniel Cormier has ignited a fierce debate that cuts to the very core of their legendary rivalry. While Cormier, an Olympic-level wrestler and NCAA Division I champion, has boldly predicted he would dominate Jones 10-0 on the mats, not everyone in the fight community is buying his absolute confidence. Fellow former champion Kamaru Usman has stepped in to challenge that narrative, arguing that the world severely underestimates Jones's otherworldly athletic talent and wrestling acumen. Usman's critique is founded on a key distinction: the difference between a credentialed career in pure wrestling and innate fight-applied talent. He acknowledges Cormier's superior pedigree, but warns against using that as the sole metric for a hypothetical clash. Because Jon Jones never went to Division I and had the accolades and all of that, people sleep on just how talented Jon Jones is, Usman stated. He believes Jones possessed the raw ability to have been a multiple-time Division I champion had he chosen that path. More importantly, Usman points to the evidence from their actual fights. He recalls watching Jones decide to wrestle and make people look bad, noting that in their UFC encounters, Jones was no slouch in their wrestling exchanges. For Usman, a match between them would not be the simple technical whitewash Cormier projects. It would be a clash between Cormier's perfected fundamentals and Jones's freakish, intuitive mastery of leverage and movement. This disagreement between champions adds a fascinating new layer to the Jones-Cormier saga as they prepare to face off as coaches on ALF reality. It transforms the discussion from a nostalgic what-if into a genuine technical dispute. Cormier's claim is a statement of pride in his lifelong craft, an assertion that his foundation is unshakable. Usman's rebuttal is a testament to Jones's unique, once-in-a-generation athletic genius, suggesting that formal credentials can't fully capture his ability to dominate any physical domain. The debate itself becomes a proxy for their rivalry: Cormier's disciplined, honorable grind versus Jones's unpredictable, prodigious gift. Until they ever step on a mat, the question remains unresolved. But Usman has ensured that Cormier's predicted 10-0 shutout is no longer taken as gospel, framing a potential wrestling match as a far more intriguing and competitive spectacle. In the high-stakes chess game of the lightweight division, few voices carry the unique, hard-earned perspective of Michael Chandler, a man who has shared the cage with both men vying for the interim title at UFC 324. Having been stopped by Paddy Pimblett and engaged in a legendary war with Justin Gaethje, Chandler's breakdown of the upcoming clash carries the weight of direct experience. While he generously praises Pimblett's underrated skills, noting his difficult length and deceptive movement that makes him always there to be hit, yet he wasn't easy to hit, Chandler's ultimate prediction is a testament to the unique terror that Gaethje represents. Gaethje is a whole different animal, Chandler stated, leaning toward the veteran to capture the interim crown. But Chandler didn't stop there. He ventured a bold forecast for the entire year, predicting Gaethje would not only defeat Pimblett, but go on to dethrone the reigning champion, Ilia Topuria, in a title unification bout later in 2026.
This is a staggering prediction that elevates the stakes of the January 24th main event from a simple title eliminator to the potential first act of a historic, late-career run for the highlight. Chandler acknowledges Poirier's sublime skill, calling him the most skilled fighter in the UFC, yet he bets on Gaethje's singular, violent intangibles. His analysis hinges on a critical stylistic contrast, Pimblett's calculated approach against Gaethje's different level of violence. Chandler implies that Gaethje's willingness to embrace chaos, to take fight-altering risks that more cautious fighters avoid, will overwhelm Pimblett's technical toolkit and could later crack the code of Poirier's precision. It's a belief that Gaethje's pressure, power, and inhuman resilience, honed over a career of the sport's most brutal fights, represent a force that even the most technically gifted cannot fully prepare for or withstand over 25 minutes. Thus, Chandler's commentary reframes the entire lightweight narrative for 2026. He is envisioning a year where the 37-year-old Gaethje, often seen as the beloved action hero whose championship window had closed, stages a final magnificent conquest. It would be a storybook ending of the highest order, defeating the surging superstar in Pimblett to claim interim gold, and then solving the puzzle of the undefeated, dominant champion in Poirier to finally seize the undisputed throne that has eluded him. Whether this prophecy comes true rests first on Gaethje's ability to translate his trademark violence into a tactical victory over Pimblett's evolving game. But thanks to Chandler's prediction, the implications of UFC 324 have grown exponentially. It's no longer just about an inerrant belt, it's about whether Justin Gaethje is embarking on the last and greatest run of his career, one that could culminate in the most satisfying and violent crowning in recent MMA memory.
The UFC's 2026 calendar is taking shape, not with random bookings, but with deliberate, high-stakes pairings that function as sorting mechanisms for crowded divisions, and the return to Seattle on March 28th presents a perfect case study. The reported flyweight rematch between Alexa Grasso and Maycee Barber is far more than a simple rerun. It is a meticulously crafted intersection of two careers moving in opposite directions, with the winner poised to claim the role of Valentina Shevchenko's most urgent challenger. Their first fight in 2021 was a passing of the torch in reverse, the poised veteran Grasso handing a lesson to the raw, aggressive prospect Barber. 5 years later, the dynamic has utterly inverted. Grasso's journey has been a roller coaster of championship glory and subsequent stagnation, her momentum sapped by a draining trilogy with Shevchenko and a recent loss. Barber's path has been one of linear, patient ascent, using that initial loss as fuel to build a 7-fight win streak and evolve into a more complete, dangerous force. This rematch is therefore a legitimacy checkpoint. For Grasso, it's a chance to prove she remains a lethal, top-tier operator, not a former champion on the decline. For Barber, it's the ultimate validation, avenging her sole career setback and forcing the division to acknowledge the future is now. Seattle isn't just hosting a fight, it's hosting an audit. This measuring stick philosophy appears to be a defining strategy for the UFC's 2026 matchmaking, extending far beyond the Emerald City. Look at the reported booking of Tatiana Suarez versus Lupi Godinez. This is not a fight designed to preserve an undefeated record or gently advance a prospect. It's a brutal stress test for both. For Suarez, it's about proving her elite wrestling and pressure can still overwhelm a rising force after the first blemish on her record. For Godinez, it's the opportunity to catapult from a volume-based contender to a certified title threat by solving the puzzle of a former finalist. Similarly, a clash like Rob Font versus Raul Rosas Jr. serves a specific purpose: to determine if a veteran's deep well of experience can contain the hyper-hyped momentum of a phenom, or if the new generation is ready to forcibly retire the old guard. This approach signals a promotion impatient with stagnation. Instead of letting divisions logjam with fighters protecting their rankings, the UFC is actively creating matchups that demand answers. Who is still elite after a setback? Which prospect is truly ready for the top 10? Which veteran has one more run left?
Each of these fights, Grasso versus Barber, Suarez versus Godinez, Font versus Rosas Jr., is a controlled experiment designed to provide those answers, forcibly reshuffling the contender decks early in the year. For fans, it promises a season defined not by safe, predictable bouts, but by high-consequence collisions, where every result will send immediate shockwaves through the rankings. The message is clear. In 2026, you don't just defend your spot, you have to constantly prove you deserve it, starting in Seattle and echoing across every card that follows. The quest for UFC gold is a journey that often demands brutal honesty. And for Diego Lopes, that honesty has led to a radical, inexpensive transformation in his pursuit of Alexander Volkanovski. After falling short in their first meeting at UFC 314, where Volkanovski expertly managed distance and pace to claim a unanimous decision victory, Lopes has undertaken a complete deconstruction and reconstruction of his championship preparation. His mission for the UFC 325 rematch is not simply to try harder, but to become a fundamentally different challenger. And the cornerstone of this evolution is a profound change in his environment and mindset. The most tangible symbol of this new approach is Lopes's investment in a private, exclusive training facility. This isn't just a new gym, it's a strategic fortress. By creating a space dedicated solely to him and his closest coaches, Lopes aims to strip away every possible distraction, the noise of other fighters, the casual interruptions, the external pressures that can subtly dilute focus. "I had ego when I fought Volk in April," Lopes admitted in a revealing introspection. "I thought I didn't need to fix anything in my training, but after the fight, I saw many things weren't good." This private gym is the physical manifestation of that lesson, a controlled ecosystem built for the single purpose of solving the Volkanovski puzzle. It represents a significant financial and philosophical commitment, underscoring his belief that the standard training environment was in part what failed him the first time. Beyond the walls of his new gym, Lopes has engaged in an even more critical renovation, that of his own in-fight psychology. His diagnosis of the first loss is precise. He confesses he was guilty of chasing a one-punch finish, a desperate hunt for a single, dramatic knockout that played directly into Volkanovski's veteran hands. In focusing solely on the concussive ending, Lopes abandoned the very qualities that propelled him to title contention. His fluid, adaptive, and opportunistic style that thrives on chaos and momentum. "I forgot the best thing in my life, which is to enjoy the moment," he stated, identifying a loss of joy as a key tactical failure. "When I enjoy the moment, I'm the most dangerous guy in the division." This realization is perhaps more important than any physical upgrade. He understands now that to defeat a cerebral champion like Volkanovski, he must not force the fight, but must allow his most dangerous, instinctive self to emerge organically within the chaos. This rematch, therefore, is framed as a clash between continuity and evolution. Volkanovski represents the pinnacle of proven, strategic excellence, a champion who weathered a storm of speculation about his decline to execute a flawless, conservative game plan. Facing him again is Lopes, a challenger who has publicly dissected his own flaws of ego, patience, and preparation. He is betting on himself in the most comprehensive way, having built a new world from the ground up to foster a new mindset. The ultimate question for UFC 325 is whether this purified focus and rediscovered joy can unlock the sustained, multifaceted attack needed to dethrone a champion who has already shown he can neutralize Lopes's greatest weapons. Lopes isn't just getting a second chance, he has built an entirely new machine, from the gym floor to his own mindset, designed for the sole purpose of seizing it.
The trajectory of Michael Morales is pointing straight toward the top, and his next step could come on the most unique stage in UFC history. Following his stunning first-round knockout of Sean Brady at UFC 322, the undefeated welterweight contender has revealed that the promotion has approached him about a potential fight on the groundbreaking card scheduled for June 14th at the White House. This placement on such a high-profile event signals the UFC's serious belief in Morales as a future headliner and title threat. According to Morales, the opponent in discussion for this career-defining slot is none other than Jack Della Maddalena, the former welterweight champion who recently lost his title to Islam Makhachev. This matchup is a logical and explosive piece of matchmaking for the 170-pound division. With champion Makhachev likely tied up in a super fight with former title holder Kamaru Usman, the rest of the division's elite must jockey for position. A bout between Morales, the surging, unbeaten knockout artist, and Maddalena, the former king seeking immediate redemption, would effectively serve as a #1 contender eliminator. It's a fight that guarantees action and would provide a clear next challenger in a division momentarily paused by its champion's crossover ambitions. Morales' rapid ascent has been breathtaking. The Dana White Contender Series alum has shown a chilling blend of power and precision, and a win over a proven commodity like Della Maddalena would erase any remaining doubts about his readiness for a title shot. For Della Maddalena, it's a chance to reboot his championship aspirations by halting the hottest streak in the division. While other dangerous contenders like Carlos Prates, also coming off a huge UFC 322 knockout, remain in the mix, the Morales versus Della Maddalena pairing carries a particular narrative weight. It represents the clear intersection of the division's past and its feared future, a perfect high-stakes attraction for the unprecedented platform of a White House event, setting the stage for the next welterweight era. The long, bitter war between Jon Jones and Daniel Cormier has entered its most perplexing and psychologically complex chapter, a phase where the battlefield is no longer the octagon, but the murky terrain of public gestures, private messages, and the sincere pursuit of a peace that may never truly be attainable. As the two legends prepare to coach opposite each other, Jones has publicly framed the experience as a chance to mend this jacked-up relationship and even start a friendship. However, Daniel Cormier is responding with deep-seated skepticism, his doubt fueled by a private video message from Jones that preceded the public olive branch. Cormier revealed that he received a WhatsApp video from an unrecognized number featuring Jones alongside a Russian associate, in which Jones issued a taunting challenge: "Come over here and coach against me, maybe you can get one." This privately competitive, almost gloating tone stands in stark contrast to Jones's subsequent public talk of friendship. For Cormier, the discrepancy is telling. The authenticity that surrounds Jon Jones can come into question, he stated bluntly. So, what we hear may not be necessarily what he means. This revelation paints their upcoming reality show stint in a fascinating new light. It will not be a simple narrative of reconciliation, but a high-stakes experiment in parsing motive and performance. Is Jones's desire for friendship a genuine evolution, a strategic narrative for the show, or a subtle new form of psychological warfare, a way to disarm his rival with kindness after years of hostility? Cormier's skepticism ensures he will enter the process with his guard firmly up, interpreting every interaction through the lens of that private, challenging video. The show now promises a dual layer of drama: the competition between their teams of prospects and the unscripted, real-time drama of whether these two alphas can navigate a truce, or whether their ingrained rivalry will simply find a new, more civil, but equally intense expression. Furthermore, Cormier's continued push for a wrestling match in real American freestyle adds a concrete, competitive endpoint to this saga. It's his proposed arena for a final, pure athletic settlement, a chance to claim a victory in the one discipline where he believes his Olympic pedigree gives him a definitive edge. Jones's silence on that challenge speaks volumes. Their upcoming coaching battle is therefore merely the preamble. The true question hanging over their renewed interaction is what comes after. Will the forced proximity and shared goal of coaching foster the genuine détente Jones proposes,
Or will it merely provide a new stage for the same old rivalry, culminating in Cormier finally getting his chance to get one on the wrestling mats, proving that some competitions and some animosities are simply too deeply rooted to ever be fully buried? The friendship might be a proposed storyline, but the rivalry is the undeniable reality.
The heavyweight division remains in a state of agonizing suspension, a kingdom whose king, Tom Aspinall, is recovering from double eye surgery with no certain return date. In this vacuum of uncertainty, two compelling and conflicting narratives are emerging about the future of the title, both centered on the man at the center of the controversy, Ciryl Gane. From one corner comes a bold prediction of vengeance from within Gane's own camp. Puya Ramani, a PFL star and training partner of Gane, has asserted that the first fight was on the verge of a decisive turn. "I think if fight goes to second round, he was able to finish Aspinall," Ramani claimed, expressing unwavering confidence that in a rematch, Ciryl can finish him this time. This perspective reframes the no contest not as a fluke, but as an interrupted demonstration of Gane's improved takedown defense and striking prowess, positioning him as the rightful heir to the throne once Aspinall is dethroned. Yet an alternative and perhaps even more tantalizing path is materializing, one that could see Gane battling for an interim title against a historic challenger from another division. With Aspinall's timeline murky, the rumor mill has churned out the possibility of an interim championship bout between Gane and light heavyweight king Alex Pereira, who is actively pursuing a third division crown. Intriguingly, even the sidelined Aspinall has weighed in on this potential matchup, calling it a good stylistic matchup and acknowledging, "We need to get back again, don't we?" His comments lend a surreal but credible air to the speculation. A Pereira versus Gane interim title fight represents a striker's paradise and a promotional blockbuster, pitting the most feared one-shot power in the sport against the most fluid and technical heavyweight kickboxer. It would keep the division moving in dramatic fashion while offering Pereira a shortcut to immortality. Thus, Ciryl Gane stands at a fascinating crossroads, the key figure in two parallel heavyweight futures. One future is built on closure, a direct rematch with Aspinall to settle the unfinished business and validate the belief of his team that victory was imminent. The other is built on spectacle and history, a chance to headline an interim title superfight against a legendary pound-for-pound great, with the winner positioned to face Aspinall in a monumental unification bout. The UFC's decision will hinge on medical reports, timing, and commercial calculus. Do they wait for their wounded champion, or do they create a massive interim event that captures the imagination of the entire sport? For now, Gane trains, Ramani predicts, Aspinall heals, and Pereira dreams of heavyweight bold. The division's next move is the most anticipated puzzle in MMA, and its solution will define the landscape for the rest of 2026.